Welcome to part two of the note-taking presentation. This part will focus on the methods of note-taking. So the first method, perhaps the most simple method, is the bullet method. This is the simplest. You're simply writing down each topic as a jotted sentence or partial sentence. This works well for fast-paced lectures where a lot of information is covered. It looks like this. Each line on the page is a new and separate topic. You write down important information the teacher emphasizes, and you start a bullet for each new detail. I actually use dashes instead of circles, so it's not technically a bullet, but it works the same way. The pros for this are that it's a quick note-taking method. It works well for unstructured lectures if your lecture doesn't go really organized. The cons are that it may require time after class reading to organize more thoroughly. So if you just take bullet notes, your review of your notes may consist of organizing those notes better, which, although it's a con in that it takes up time, it might be a pro in that it forces you to review your notes and organize. The next method is the outline method, which you're probably familiar with if you've had a writing class. This method lets you organize your notes in a structured form, helping you save time for further reviewing and editing. Structure your notes in the form of an outline using bullet points to represent different topics and their subtopics. And this method works best for reading or if the lecture or class follows a clear structure. It's going to look like this. This is the main topic at the top, and then underneath that is a subtopic, and then underneath that are the related thoughts or supporting facts. And then you move back out for another subtopic, and then the supporting facts and thoughts underneath that, or move back even further for another main topic. So it gets your notes down in an already organized fashion. The pros for this is that it highlights key points of the lecture or the reading that you're note-taking from in a logical way. It's easy to see the relationship between topics and subtopics because of the way they're laid out. It reduces reviewing and editing time because things are already organized. And it gives a proper and clean structure to the notes. If you're a little bit, if you like to have your things organized, this is the way to go. The cons are that it's not suitable for subjects that use a lot of formulas and charts because those don't fit very well into the structure. And it doesn't work well if a lecture is unstructured. If your teacher just kind of wanders all over the place in their lecture, then it's probably not going to be the best way to take notes. The Cornell method. This method is ideal for all types of lectures or textbook reading. The page is divided into 3 or 4 sections, starting from one row at the top for the title and date, one at the bottom, along with 2 columns in the center. It looks like this. So in the left-hand column, over here, you're going to have during or after class reading, comments, questions, and keywords. During the class or your reading, all of your notes and key thoughts go here. And then this is the important part. After class, down here in the bottom, you're going to take a moment to summarize the main ideas of the page in the section at the bottom. So whatever you've taken notes on here, you're going to summarize here. So this form of note-taking includes the review. And what this does is it allows you to, when you're reviewing your notes later, be able to see what that section was about by simply looking at your summary at the bottom of the page of notes. And then you can look at the details up in the actual notes if you need to. The pros are that it's a quick way to take, review, and organize your notes. It summarizes all information systematically. It helps you to extract main ideas, and it cuts down time for reviewing because the reviewing is sort of a part of it. The cons are that pages need to be prepared before lecture reading. You need to do the divisions, although that doesn't really take very long, so that's not much of a con. And it requires some time for reviewing and summarizing the key concepts to fill in that bottom slot. But again, that's a good way of reviewing your notes. So that con is really a positive. The boxing or mapping method. This method works best if you have a class or a lecture or reading that is split into different sections. All the notes that are related to each other are grouped together in a box or a circle if you prefer. Since a dedicated box is assigned for each section of notes, it cuts down the time needed for reading and reviewing. So it's going to look something like this. Each box will contain information on different topics or subjects. Related information should be contained within a box so that you'll probably draw the boxes after a subject is finished and then move on to the next topic or box. Boxes can be different sizes and shapes depending on the information that's inside. And if you take notes electronically, they can be organized into boxes after class as you study. You can also draw connecting lines between boxes to connect separate ideas if you want to emphasize that there's a connection. You can also turn this into a mapping method, which is sort of an amalgamation of the boxing method and the outline method, where you have your main topic at the top, and then you have offshoots of your subtopics, and then the subpoints, and then key details. So you're boxing them so that it looks visual, but it's essentially an outline, but it's a visual outline as opposed to the standard outline. The pros of this method is that it segregates and organizes notes visually. It lets you focus on one box or string at a time while reviewing. It helps you memorize the relationship between notes in a visual way. This is really important if you're a visual learner, if you know this about yourself. It's perfect for people who are visual learners. The cons are that it doesn't work well if no overall topics can be assigned to a group of notes. So if it's not very organized in itself, it's not going to work very well. And it could require additional time to group the notes in the end or during the lecture or reading to group into the boxes. Index cards. This method of note-taking works for reading or organizing notes already taken during a lecture or a reading session. The method allows you to review notes on the go and, if desired, to color code notes by using colored index cards. This isn't used for taking notes during class. This is more a way to organize notes that have already been taken. So it's going to look something like this if each of these boxes were a different note card. What is one fact you need to remember? You can include supporting facts too if needed. What's another fact you need to remember? Again, include support if appropriate. Remember that these cards can then be organized and reorganized as needed. You can even use them as a quiz format by putting a question on one side and the answer on the other. Just be sure to bind them somehow if you're going to be carrying them around. Use a hole punch and ring or rubber band. You don't want them flying all over the place and letting your organization skills be for naught. The pros of index cards is that it makes your notes portable. It allows for easy organization and reorganization, and it helps you to focus on each point one at a time and not be overwhelmed by pages of notes. The cons are that it doesn't work well for taking in-class notes. That's it. Hopefully this helped you have some new methods of note-taking. Good luck taking notes in your classes.